These days, Syria appears in the news headlines across the globe. But sadly, they rarely ever project the country's natural beauty, its rich culture, or ancient history. Nowadays, the news about Syria is the news of a war that has ripped through the country, devastating a nation. I'm Sahar Akju, and you're watching Aperture. Well, today on Aperture, we too will be looking at the ongoing crisis in Syria, but from a different perspective. This week's exclusive PressTV documentary will reveal the clandestine war being waged on Syria, a series of premeditated and calculated attacks intended to eradicate Syria's leading state and army figures. An intertwined web of various intelligence agencies and terrorist groups are active in secret underground operations to eliminate certain figures as Syria is trapped in a network of intelligence wars. Stay with us for the details. Here is the first part of Intelligence Wars in Syria.
This is the Madha Highway, and the road behind me is the road Colonel Hafiz Makhlouf's car followed when he left his house outside Damascus.
The bomb was placed inside a car by Israeli intelligence agents, Mossad, who conducted and directed this mission. The explosion happened in front of a residential building full of media personalities.
Colonel's car reached the bomb-laden car that was parked right here. Behind the camera, a destroyed building that was hit by the blast can be seen. Surprisingly, the explosion happened in just one direction, the direction that the Colonel's car was going, and the blast directly hit the car.
The bulletproof car was hit, and Colonel Makhlouf got out without a scratch, without the slightest injury, and got into another car that was part of his entourage, and went about his business that day as if nothing had happened. The mission was a complete failure. Seeing the force of the blast and the precision with which this mission was carried out leaves experts in no doubt that none of the passengers could have possibly survived.
There was little damage given the fact that the car was directly hit by the blast. The car and its passengers should have been destroyed because the explosion was very huge and destructive, even damaging the buildings behind it. At the same time, the blast was not as powerful as you would have expected from the amount of explosives placed inside the car.
Colonel Hafiz Makhlouf is one of the central figures that play an important role in safeguarding the security of Syrian capital Damascus.
الذي يتميز بتعبير الكثير من الدارسين الكثير من الباحثين بذكاء.
According to pundits and experts, he is extremely talented and intelligent and has an extraordinary security-oriented intuition.
الشخصيات الوطنية السورية التي تحصن الأمن القومي السوري والتي استطاعت
So like other important figures that play an important role in safeguarding security in Syria and have managed to save the country from the destruction planned by the West and other enemies, he was assassinated with a car bomb.
فكان العقيد حافظ مخلوف الذي قدم الكثير للدولة السورية واحدا من هؤلاء المستهدفين بسيارة مفخخة.
Nowadays, they had changed the rule of the game against leaders. Also, Israel was the first state which legalized, which called the targeted killing.
Targeting Colonel Makhlouf means that they know what this man is doing exactly in fighting terrorism and chasing the leaders of the terrorist organizations that are acting in most parts of Syria. So in terms of collecting information about important people, their bosses, I mean, they were aware of the importance of this man, and they exerted a lot of efforts to follow him and to try to get rid of them in order to achieve this kind of victory in this war by killing this important man.
According to our investigations, on Wednesday, September the 5th, 2012, a car with a Syrian plate number and 4 passengers and a driver was moving from Lebanon towards Al-Ghair in the Arson area.
وكان بمتن السيارة 4 أشخاص وسائق وصلوا إلى العاصمة بعد ليلة قضوها
They spent a night in Ain al-Khazra and continued their journey in a stolen Red Crescent car at dawn.
على متن سيارة مسروقة من الهلال الأحمر نقل فيها
A sick woman and a Mossad intelligence group consisting of 3 Israelis who held European passports and papers and journalism equipment arrived at Damascus in that car.
الأوروبي وبطاقات تعريف ومعدات صحفية
There was also a Syrian who helped them enter Lebanon and move around Damascus.
ودخل المنفذون إلى دمشق وهم إسرائيليون بعد ما جرى رصد.
This Israeli terrorist group followed the movement of Colonel's entourage, which was passing through Damascus entrance at Meza Highway by tracking the sound waves of the Colonel's cell phone with the help of special tracking devices.
على الطريق الواصل من مدخل دمشق إلى أوتوستراد المزة.
Syria's weapons have turned it into a battlefield for the world's intelligence services. Therefore, many elements that function under the world intelligence services do things such as kidnapping, attempted murder, assassination, bombing, and everything that happens in Syria these days from the intelligence point of view.
The terrorist managed to locate a cell phone at that time by following its sound waves. Every cell phone has its own kind of sound waves. So they programmed the bombed car according to the sound waves of Colonel's cell phone, so that as soon as the cell phone got close to the bomb-laden car, the explosives would detonate. The assassination was planned so carefully that the passengers of the targeted car could not be rescued at all, and that is exactly what happened. The blast hit the car, but Colonel Makhlouf managed to survive. With the grace of God, Colonel Makhlouf survived the attempt on his life without a scratch. One of his companions was killed, but Colonel got out of the exploded car in front of everyone's eyes and got into another car that was part of his entourage and went about his daily business, which was fighting terrorism as a soldier in the Syrian army.
The advanced technological assistance provided by the US in the form of high-tech equipment connected to surveillance satellites enabled terrorists to follow their target as soon as he left his house and track him down by following the sound waves of Colonel's cell phone. Colonel Makhlouf changed his cell phone every week, but the terrorists were apparently equipped with strong tracking devices that enabled them to realize any changes in their target. The terrorists also managed to track all the cars that were part of his entourage, as well as their communication devices.